All right, so you mentioned wanting to know more about rodents
Okay.
and going beyond that, like, ooh, a rat kind of reaction.
Yeah.
So we've prepped a deep dive today
Awesome.
using a pretty interesting YouTube video by Big Tug.
Oh.
He's clearly, like, passionate about these creatures, and I think his perspective might surprise you.
I'm intrigued.
So, he starts off his video
Right.
with this funny observation.
Okay.
People, like, absolutely freak out when they see a mouse.
Yeah.
And it just got me thinking, is that fear just ingrained in us? Or is it, like, something we learn?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Some experts believe there might be an evolutionary basis for fearing creatures associated with, like, disease.
Right.
You know, historically, rodents have been linked to outbreaks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But cultural influences definitely play a role, too.
How so?
Think about it.
Yeah.
Our reactions are often shaped by stories,
Right?
movies, even just the way people around us react.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, it's like a cultural game of telephone, but with fear of mice.
Exactly.
Yeah, Big Tug kind of hints at that,
Okay.
saying people fear what they don't understand.
That's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
It's we're naturally wary of the unknown.
Makes sense.
But with rodents, there's a lot more to understand than most people realize.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
I'm ready.
Big Tug throws down the gauntlet
Hey.
and says rats are as intelligent as primates.
Wow.
Now, I'm no scientist, but that
Yeah. sounds
pretty bold.
Wait.
What's the evidence for that?
It's not just a wild claim, actually.
Okay.
There's been a ton of research on rodent intelligence.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out they're capable of some pretty impressive cognitive feats.
Whoa, really?
For example,
Okay.
they're amazing problem solvers.
Interesting.
Studies have shown they can navigate mazes,
Huh.
remember complex routes,
Wow.
and even use tools to get what they want.
That's more than just finding the cheese in the pantry.
Right.
But hold on.
Yeah.
He mentions this thing called metacognition in rats.
Okay.
That's like thinking about thinking, right?
You're exactly right.
Whoa.
Metacognition is the ability to be aware of your own mental processes.
Really?
And believe it or not, there's evidence that rats can do this.
No way.
For example, they can judge how certain they are about a choice
Wow.
and even change their behavior based on their confidence level.
That's mind-blowing.
It is pretty amazing.
It makes you wonder, are we as humans always aware of our own metacognition?
Right.
But, okay, back to rodents.
Sure.
Big Tug says lab rats have shown empathy, even helping each other out.
Okay.
How do scientists even study something like that in a rat?
They've designed some really clever experiments.
Like what?
One classic study involved putting one rat in a distressing situation,
Okay.
like being trapped in a small space,
Got it.
while another rat observed. The observer rat would show signs of distress itself, and even learn to open the trap and free its companion.
That's actually touching.
Yeah, it is.
So it's not just recognizing that the other rat is in trouble.
Right.
It's taking action to help.
Exactly.
What does that tell us about their social behavior?
It suggests that their social bonds are much more complex than we might assume. Empathy plays a huge role in cooperation.
Right.
And for rodents living in social groups, that cooperation can be essential for survival.
I see.
They rely on each other for food, protection, raising young, all sorts of things.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about rats for a second.
Okay.
Big Tug introduces us to the capybara,
Got it.
the world's largest rodent.
I know they're big.
And he has this hilarious bit comparing the biggest one he's seen
Oh, yeah.
to Floyd Mayweather, the boxer.
I love that visual.
Yeah.
Capybaras can indeed get surprisingly large.
Wow.
Sometimes over 100 pounds.
Jeez.
They're native to South America, hanging out in wetlands and grasslands.
So not around here.
Not usually.
And they have this reputation for being super chill.
Yeah.
Like Big Tug calls them lovers, not fighters.
Right.
Why are they so laid back?
Good question.
Does their size have something to do with it?
It might.
Okay.
They're herbivores, for one thing.
Right.
So they're not constantly competing for prey
That's true.
and being semi-aquatic.
Mhm.
They've got this whole other dimension to their world
Interesting.
with different predators and food sources.
Makes sense.
It could be that their lifestyle just lends itself to a more relaxed attitude.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Big Tug's adorable rodent showcase.
Okay, I'm excited.
He walks us through some truly cute examples.
Right.
First up, the pygmy jerboa.
Love those guys.
The tiniest rodent hopping around the desert, like a miniature kangaroo.
They're absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
And perfectly adapted to that harsh desert environment. Those long hind legs let them cover amazing distances with each hop.
Wow.
And their oversized ears help regulate their body temperature.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Next, we've got the Mongolian gerbil.
Yep.
And this one has a truly wild defense mechanism.
Let's hear it.
Tail shedding.
Right?
When a predator grabs their tail, a portion of it can detach.
Whoa.
Wiggling around as a distraction.
Oh, wow.
While the gerbil makes its escape.
So,
it's called tail autotomy.
Okay.
And it's a pretty dramatic way to avoid becoming someone's lunch.
Talk about making a quick getaway.
Yeah.
Do other animals use that strategy?
I don't know.
It seems so bizarre.
It does.
It's more common than you might think.
Really?
Some lizards can do it too.
Interesting.
And even certain invertebrates.
Huh.
It's a great example of how evolution sometimes favors drastic measures for survival.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Dumbo rat.
Love it.
Bred for its big round ears that make it look like a Disney character.
They are pretty darn cute.
I have to admit.
I know.
You're pretty darn cute.
Dumbo rats are very sociable and intelligent.
And
their unique look has made them popular pets.
That makes sense.
Of course, selective breeding always raises questions about animal welfare.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
Definitely.
But for now, let's move on to the long-tailed chinchilla.
One of my faves.
Luxurious fur dust baths.
I know, right?
And according to Big Tug, cone-shaped genitalia?
Well, he's not wrong.
Oh, my.
Chinchillas are known for their incredibly dense and soft fur.
Right.
Which requires those dust baths to stay clean.
Okay.
And yes, their anatomy is unique.
It just goes to show that nature has a sense of humor, I guess.
I guess so.
Okay, so far Big Tug's rodent parade has been pretty cute.
Yeah.
But he warns us that there are some out there that are a bit rougher around the edges.
Got it.
He emphasizes that these are rare encounters.
Right.
Not meant to fuel anyone's phobias.
Okay.
But still, some of these stories are pretty wild.
It's important to remember that even the most scary rodents are usually just reacting based on their instincts.
Okay.
Understanding those behaviors can help us coexist with them more safely.
So let's unpack this rodents gone rogue list.
I'm ready.
First up, we have the porcupine.
Right?
Big Tug tells this crazy story about them killing a dog in Italy.
Oh, well.
Are they usually that aggressive?
Porcupines are actually pretty docile most of the time.
Oh, really?
But they do have those incredibly sharp quills as a defense mechanism.
Okay.
It's likely the dog in that story got too close and triggered a defensive response.
Makes sense.
They're not out hunting dogs or anything.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Then there's the African crested rat.
Fascinating creatures.
Which Big Tug describes as a mini skunk that doesn't stink too bad.
Right.
But here's the twist. They're poisonous.
Oh, wow.
How does that even work?
They've got this incredible adaptation.
Okay.
Where they chew on the bark of a poisonous tree.
Oh, wow.
And then rub the toxic saliva onto specialized hairs on their flanks.
No way.
Creating a defense that can deter even large predators.
That's amazing.
It's like they're weaponizing themselves with poison.
Right.
How unusual is that in the animal kingdom?
Yeah, good question.
It's pretty rare.
Okay.
While plenty of animals are venomous, meaning they inject toxins,
right.
This method of passively transferring poison through contact is much less common.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a cautionary tale.
Okay.
About the Gough Island house mice.
Little guys.
These little guys hitched a ride with whalers.
Oh, no.
Back in the 19th century and ended up on this island with no natural predators. And let's just say things did not go well for the native wildlife.
It's a classic example of the problems invasive species can cause.
Right.
The Gough Island mice, with no predators to keep them in check, have decimated native bird populations.
Oh, wow.
And they've become a major conservation challenge.
Jeez. And finally, we have the rock squirrels of the Grand Canyon.
I've heard of them.
Who Big Tug playfully calls the boss CEO girls.
Okay.
Apparently, they're responsible for a surprising number of attacks on tourists.
Rock squirrels have become incredibly bold around humans.
Really?
Likely because they've learned to associate us with food.
Makes sense.
Their bites are rarely serious.
Okay.
But they can carry diseases, so it's best to admire them from a safe distance.
So we've gone from cuddly gerbils to poison-wielding rats to delinquent squirrels.
Quite the range.
What I'm taking away from all this is that rodents are more than just pests.
You're getting it.
They're intelligent, adaptable, and even capable of empathy.
They're often overlooked.
Right.
But they play crucial roles in our ecosystems.
Yeah.
And their unique adaptations offer some fascinating insights into the diversity of life on our planet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's amazing how these creatures have carved out a space for themselves in so many different environments.
Yeah, like we were talking about the rock squirrels. And their boldness around humans.
Right.
Which is a great example of how their adaptability can have unintended consequences.
Totally.
Speaking of adaptation, remember those pygmy jerboas?
Oh, yeah, the little hoppy guys.
Hopping around the scorching desert.
Yeah.
Big Tug mentioned their oversized ears, helping them regulate their body temperature. I'm curious, how does that work?
Those ears aren't just for show.
Okay.
They act like radiators.
Interesting.
Allowing excess heat to escape, which is crucial for surviving in those extreme temperatures.
Wow.
It's a fascinating example of how evolution has fine-tuned these animals to their environments.
It's like nature's built-in air conditioning.
Exactly.
Pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
And then we had those Mongolian gerbils shedding their tails to escape predators.
Yeah. Crazy.
It seems pretty drastic.
It is.
But I guess it's effective.
Yeah.
Does losing their tail have any long-term effects?
It's definitely a trade-off. They can escape a predator in the short term.
Right.
But the tail doesn't always grow back perfectly. It might be shorter or have less functionality, which could affect their balance or ability to communicate with other gerbils.
That makes sense.
It's a reminder that survival isn't always pretty.
So true.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to the African crested rat for a moment.
Right.
Because their poison collecting strategy is just so bizarre.
It's wild.
They actually choose to make themselves poisonous.
It really seems that way.
Wow.
They actively seek out the poisonous bark, chew it, and then meticulously apply it to their fur.
It suggests a level of awareness and intentional behavior that we don't usually associate with rodents.
Exactly.
It's kind of unsettling, but also incredibly cool.
It is.
It challenges our assumptions about what these animals are capable of.
And it raises all sorts of questions about animal intelligence.
Like what?
Do they understand the cause and effect of their actions? Are they consciously making themselves dangerous?
Wow.
These are puzzles we're still trying to solve.
It's like they're reading a poisonous recipe book and deciding, yep, that's the defense mechanism for me.
Exactly.
Big Tug didn't go into much detail about the ethics of breeding Dumbo rats for those big ears.
Yeah, those cute ears.
But it's worth bringing up.
Absolutely.
Is it okay to manipulate animals' appearance solely for our aesthetic preferences?
That's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah, I bet.
Selective breeding, if done irresponsibly, can lead to health problems in animals.
Right.
Especially if certain traits are exaggerated for our enjoyment.
I see.
On the other hand, responsible breeders prioritize their animals' well-being and strive to maintain healthy bloodlines.
That's good.
It's about finding that balance.
It's a reminder that our fascination with animals should always come with a sense of responsibility.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, you mentioned that chinchillas have the best hair in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, their fur's amazing.
But sadly, that's led to people exploiting them for their fur.
It's a sad truth.
It's a dark side to our admiration of these creatures.
The demand for chinchilla fur has driven hunting and farming practices that have decimated wild populations.
It's a reminder that our choices have consequences for the natural world.
So true.
It's a good lesson to keep in mind as we continue this exploration. Okay, back to Big Tug's Rodents Gone Rogue list.
I'm ready.
He told that crazy story about a porcupine killing a dog.
Yeah, poor dog.
It's a good reminder that even seemingly harmless creatures can be dangerous if provoked.
Absolutely.
Wild animals are unpredictable.
Yeah, they are.
And it's important to respect their boundaries. Even a creature that seems gentle can have powerful defenses when it feels threatened.
So no petting the porcupines. Got it.
Got it.
Good.
But what about those rock squirrels at the Grand Canyon?
Okay.
They seem less about defense.
Yeah.
And more about straight-up mischief.
Their boldness is definitely entertaining.
Right.
But it's also a consequence of our interactions with them.
How so?
Easy access to food scraps.
Okay.
And a lack of negative consequences for approaching humans.
Yeah, see.
have made them a bit too comfortable around us.
So it's kind of our own fault. They're such little punks.
To some